I've collected the best of what other people have already figured out and repurposed it onto the internet. So I guess, like I say, I get to turn the tables today. And we missed each other on the first book on Endure, and then you've got Undeniable, which is the new one, which is fucking awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask this when we nearly spoke the first time. I'm interested in what drives you, because you've done some pretty stupid, pretty extreme things to yourself across a variety of domains.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just intrigued into where that sort of relentlessness comes from.
Man, I don't know. What's crazy is I don't remember ever being asked this before. So what, man, I don't know. Now it's like when you go through life, and there probably was decision making at some point, but now it's kind of just what I do, sort of. And, I'm just going to get up. I'm going to get whatever work I have, I'm going to get it in, whether that's 20 miles or whatever it is, shooting the bow. Now it's content creation. That's a never ending process, but now just the hard stuff. I think you're talking about like the challenging and, the mountains. That's just what I do. Before it was what I do, I don't know. I think that was where that was uncertainty. It's like, where do I fit in this world? What do I, and it's not even like, I never even asked myself, what do I have to offer? Cause I didn't think I had anything to offer. So you never even got to that part, but it was just like, is this it? I'm just going to work and trying to pay bills. And it's like, I remember like even a tactic I had, I haven't even done a checkbook in a long time, but my wife's in charge of that. But like, even just writing out checks, and I never thought it was anything that I did was gonna last. So I'd be like, if I had a check for like $17, I'd just make it for $20, put it in a thing, and I'm like, well, at the end of the day, I should have more in here. Instead of being exact, I just wanted this cushion of like, I just want to have a little bit more than what I think, and then I can just get through a challenging time. Mm-hmm. That's as far into the future as I ever thought. It's just like, let's round up in the checkbook. Yeah, just so I got a little buffer. And that there was no future. If I was thinking about the future, that's all I did right there.
I know the difficulty of trying to put yourself in the mindset of somebody before a trait became a habit, or before sort of an effort became a habit.
Yeah.
In my experience, I think where most people get stuck, and this is why consistency is such an unsexy topic, what people are looking for the most part, is getting from 0 to 1. So I'm not, a lot of the habits or a lot of the ways that I show up in life and a lot of the things that I'm doing aren't going well. Please explain to me the first few steps to get to a place that I want to be. And that's great and pretty doable. You can go and explain to somebody how to effectively run a 5K. Warm up, pre-race preparation, here are some good shoes that aren't too expensive, and here's a cool down process. But what's really difficult to explain to somebody is how you do a 5K 3 times a week for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like you kind of can't explain how to do that. The same thing with going to the gym. Mike Israetel, who you should have on the show, I think he'd be a great guest. I'd fucking love to see you two together, actually.
Yeah.
He can explain how to do the perfect tricep push down, the maximum muscle hypertrophy, and he can all of those things. But he can't explain how you do that with progressive overload once a week on that cycle and 2 other muscle groups on other cycles for a decade.
Yeah.
To get the physique that you want.
Right.
And when you look at someone like you, who is very consistent, who is disciplined in that way, it's such a part of your being. The habit is what's kept you going. And whatever the fuck it was that got you started, this fear of insufficiency, this desire to not be nothing, this need for validation, not to prove yourself, this desire for control over your environment, this sense that things are maybe a bit destitute or a little bit hopeless, but fuck, like in the gym. I remember this, dude, when I first started training, I started lifting weights when I was 18, when I went to university, the Center for Sporting Excellence in Newcastle University.
Yeah.
And I remember I had this idea in the back of my mind, which was everything in my day can have gone to shit. Like everything. And I've woken up and just, face planted from attempt to attempt. Uni went badly, and girlfriend and me had an argument, and this thing went wrong, and that thing went wrong. But I went to the gym, and it just felt like this area that I had complete control over. And that was absolutely, in the first instance, what got me there, and a desire to be stronger and feel a little bit less weak and vulnerable, and be more attractive and gain confidence in myself. And then now it's just, why do you go to the gym on a morning? It's like, I don't know. It's 7:40 a.m. That's where I am at 7:40 a.m. I'm in the gym.
That's what happens. Yeah.
So yeah, something gets you started, and then I guess habit keeps you going.
Yeah. And that's the secret, because most people, like you said, you started to get a little muscle, started to feel a little bit better about yourself. But how many people get there and then slide back and then have to start back over to get there again? So a lot of times they get a little of that dopamine is whatever, but a little of that positive reinforcement hit, and that feels great, but then they still can't make that consistent, because life gets in the way, or I don't know, or they get distracted, or they lose enthusiasm, whatever. The key is that consistency, decade after decade after decade. And that's why, like, I even think, like, me back in high school, yes, I was an athlete, but there was better athletes. Now I've been doing it for 40 years. There's nobody that was better than me that's better than me now, right? So is that but who can
probably
think?
No one that's still even running.
Who can think 40 years in advance, right? So all you're thinking is about, well, this is what I do, and I just got to keep doing it. But sounds really easy.
Isn't it interesting? I don't know of any books that have been written about consistency. I know about books that have been written to do with discipline, and motivation, and overcoming hard things, and resilience, and becoming undeniable, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I actually think that consistency would be such an unsexy book.
Be a pretty short book.
Yeah. Don't keep doing the thing, don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep doing the thing, don't stop.
And, I think that you asked that question, why or how or whatever, but I wonder if, like, everybody goes back to their childhood. I mean, childhood trauma does kind of affect us forever, right? But, like, my childhood was a lot of upheaval, a lot of ups and downs. So maybe the one thing I could control was what I was doing. Like, even in the first book I talked about, as a 5-year-old, I was in first grade, and I would go before school and run a mile by myself. And I would do is 31 times from the fence to the fence. You had to do that 31 times back and forth for a mile. And I started school early. I'd do that as a 5-year-old. So maybe I wasn't in control of anything, but I was in control of that. So maybe that hasn't changed. Maybe, like, no matter what happens, I know I'm getting my run in. I know I'm even if the whole day goes to shit, I think you kind of mentioned this, you at least got one win.